Broadcasting from the heart of the Colorado Rockies, it's 4th and 99 with your hosts, David Slade, Keith Brookman, and Matt Stappiero. Now let's talk football here on 4th and 99.
Good evening, sports fans. Welcome back to another amazing show. Thanks for tuning in to 4th and 99 tonight for the Broncos post-game show here on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, where we talk about all things Broncos with a little bit of NFL sprinkled in. I'm your host, and with me, as always, is Keith Brugman. How are you doing tonight, Keith?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How couldn't I be doing fantastic? How are you doing, buddy?
I cannot hear you, Keith. Give me 1 second.
Oh, no, man.
There we go. Now I can hear you.
You can hear me loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happens.
It's all right, buddy. It's all right. But I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing amazing. Can't be doing less than amazing after today. How about yourself?
Dude, I'm stoked for today. I mean, like, it was with the crowd is rocking. I mean, we all had DT, in our hearts, and the Broncos. You seen that they were carrying it on their hearts. You seen the fans were carrying it on their hearts. It was a big one for us today. It was a big one for fans and players alike. I'm overjoyed, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like it was like Dallas on steroids, right? Because of everything, like you said, emotionally, right? And the game plan came together beautifully. We had a wonderful win, and on top of it, we had all the emotion of why we were doing it and who we were doing it for, and it came together beautifully today on the field, up at Empower Field at Mile High, right?
Oh yeah, man! It was. I was sitting in my living room, and it almost felt like you could feel the electricity of the crowd and the emotion. And I mean, believe me, we're going to talk about a couple of questionable things that popped up today. I mean, we'll talk about the challenge a little bit. We'll talk about some other things, but before we dive too far into it, we want to give it, a thanks to Willow Seasonings and Blends for sponsoring tonight's show. Be sure to check out their product lineup at willowseasonings.com. With the holiday season quickly approaching, more and more people are turning to prime rib for their holiday meal. The high elevation SPG rub and beef are a perfect match. So to go to willowseasonings.com and grab a bottle of SPG and put a little spice in your life.
It's spicy on the field today, man.
Yeah, right? Kareem Jackson was full of spice, spit and vinegar. I mean, Caden Stearns was ready to knock some heads as well.
And maybe a little Draymond Jones action. Oh my gosh, he just went off for a series. Draymond Jones, man, just sacking, and he's blocking. You passes with his head,
Yeah.
He was just all over the place one series, but just honestly a good game from him. He brought a lot of spice to the football field today.
Yeah, Draymond wasn't sure if he was playing what kind of football he was playing with that play there. Yeah. He went for the header. He was ready to start screaming goal.
Exactly.
But hey, that's who I called out at the beginning of the game. I was like, I don't have an MVP. I just need two guys to step up, Shelby Harris and Draymond Jones. And hell, maybe they tuned in this morning. I don't know, because they both played phenomenal today. We've seen Shelby bat a ball. We got Draymond batting balls. Draymond had 2 sacks and a huge tackle for loss. I mean, maybe they were listening.
Yeah, you're all over it this morning. I need Shelby Harris to step up. I need him to show us why he had the big contract. He's disappeared since he got the big contract. What does he do? He goes out and probably has one of his best games of the season today. Man, Matt, they are tuning in. They are listening to you.
Finally, somebody listens to me. Unlike Dave, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today. He had some family coming in, so we preach family first here. So Dave, at least someone's listening to me. When you come back, listen to this.
There you go.
Dave. Well, I mean, let's dive into it. I mean, the first 2 drives for the Broncos offensively, it was like you and Pat Shurmur had a text conversation last night about just running the rock. It was just dominance. Melvin Gordon came out like he was playing. Looks like he was playing for his job, for his livelihood today. So where'd you get the inside info is the question, Keith.
Yeah, right. No, like I said, I think if you look at Pat Shurmur and you look at his game planning, I think he really does try to key up on just their weak points, and their weakest point was against the running game. I'll be honest, though. scared me to death to start the first play of the game. What do we do? Well, I mean, the first real play of the game. What do we do? Pass outside.
Yeah, I was.
I was like, for an incomplete pass, I'm like, oh no, what is going on? No, we cannot be running this game plan. And then after that play, it was just all run for almost the entire game. So it was fantastic to see. I wish I could say inside information. Maybe I'm just a little bit in tune with Pat Shurmur. I don't know if I want to be, but I am.
Oh yeah, those are. That's a risky statement there. If you
There
don't
you
let
go.
Broncos country hear you say that too loud now.
There you go,
But
buddy.
yeah, definitely. I mean, after those two drives, it got shaky though. We started to veer away into what Dave and I said may become a problem. We seen, the empty sets. We seen running backs lining up on the far left or right, depending on who was on the field. It got concerning for a little bit. Like, oh goodness! And when we started to push this pass, the momentum started to shift in favor of the Lions, and
Yeah.
it got scary for me there at half. I know in the group chat there was a couple guys talking like, "What in the world is this guy thinking? What are we doing?"
Yeah.
Man, I was shaking in my boots. I was like, "This can't be the game, Pat, where you just screw the pooch." I mean, you can't do that today.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah, when we had our 3 and out, and it was like the first, Detroit had only given up 20, or given up 23 and outs, and we gave them a 3 and out. It was a little scary at that point, like you said. Things were turning. They'd put points back on the board. It was that Brandon McManus field goal, that drive on the second to end the half. That was a huge drive actually for us, and a well designed, timeouts were used right. Play calling was pretty good. Judy getting heads up and getting down and giving himself up so that they could get up there and spike the ball. And then even better, we got an offside penalty on the defense, so it moved us 5 yards closer. But that was big, man. That was a big thing to get those 3 points back up on the board.
yeah, absolutely. Just highlighting going back to the passing game for a little bit as we kind of veered off into that. We like we mentioned, it allowed Detroit to kind of capture the momentum back for a while. It really leaves the question of, what is this team capable of if they just stick to their guns and that true identity of just pounding the rock? Would this a game possibly been over as early as halftime had we not got the itch to try to force throws that weren't there? And the reason I bring that up is we're getting ready to really get into we said Kareem Jackson said last week, it's every game is a playoff game. Well, now you're going on the AFC binge. You got the Bengals, you got the Chargers, the Raiders, the Chiefs.
Yep.
It's kind of time to stop playing experiments. If this is your identity, it's time to commit to it and force them to stop you, which I would feel comfortable enough to say, has anyone really been able to stop Javonte Williams yet? Because, I sure as heck haven't seen him get stopped.
No, not an entire game. You know what I mean? I think if he gets shut down in the series, that's a bad game for him. You know what I mean? He typically is at least able to get 6, 7, 8, 9 yards in a series, even if he doesn't end up getting that first down on 2 to 3 carries. You know what I mean? And just depending upon how they're giving him the ball. But you're absolutely right. It's what we need to do. It's what our identity has become. Finally, Pat Shurmur has maybe relented into it, but now this is the second week in a row that we've seen it. And there's no reason that we shouldn't just be coaching towards that one mindset. I always said that the absolute best coaching is when you're doing the exact opposite of what the entire league is doing. And I'll tell you what, there's not very many ball teams out there that just want to go out there and pound the rock every given Sunday.
I know. There's not. But when you got two running backs who are just dicing it up over there, it's really difficult to say, like, why not run the rock? Why not stay committed to this identity? Why not be who you are? And I get the urge to want to compete with the Patrick Mahomes, the Justin Herberts, but is this team really built to do that? Is there any chance you could ever say comfortably Teddy Bridgewater can walk into Arrowhead and go pound for pound with Kansas with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? I mean, I don't. I don't think you do either. But I would love to see here if you think that there's any chance that could ever be an effective strategy.
Well, Matt, I would say absolutely not. No, as much as I'd like to get on the bandwagon of Teddy Bridgewater, he's no way is he another Patrick Mahomes, right? He needs help out on the field, and that help comes in the form of that running game. I think if I was to look at our game and the way our team looks on the field right now, we're a lot closer to looking like Tim Tebow's team than we are to a Peyton Manning style team. That Tim Tebow team where we needed that running game, we needed to be able to pound that rock. We looked for those big plays every now and then. We're closer to that with Teddy Bridgewater, and the way that our running game is actually developed and looks better and better in each week than we are to that Peyton Manning, where we're throwing it all over the place, and it's you know going motions and changing sets and going having wide receivers flying all over the field.
Absolutely. I mean, while we're on the subject of quarterback and wide receiver, um, definitely, Mark Sanchez was doing a really good job at kind of breaking this down today. Goodness gracious, I said Mark Sanchez did something good. Oh, okay. Whew,
Woo.
that was enough to make me feel a little parched there.
Yeah.
Um, but definitely, he was onto something. It did seem like Teddy Bridgewater's chemistry with Jerry Jeudy was off. There was passes that were thrown behind. Jerry Jeudy seemed to be off for I would say a good portion of this game. He had a couple of drops. Tim Patrick and Teddy Bridgewater seemed to have a couple miscommunications today as well. It's just is that a concern for you moving forward, especially with guys like Jerry Jeudy, who's going to be a major factor in this offense, or who should be, that they're still not on the same page, and it's been a couple games since he's been back from injury.
No, I think what we're really doing is we're developing now with, like you said, Jerry Jeudy coming back with Javonte Williams and now having Gordon back healthy, and us now going towards a running game. Maybe finally we'll actually see the passing game open up a little bit. That's one of the biggest problems we've had. You talked about it in our pregame show this morning. Anybody who tuned in heard you talking about it is the ability to get separation off the line. Well, part of that reason that you're not getting any separation is because no one's expecting us to run the ball, even though we have some of the best running backs in the league. Well, now that that's switched, maybe we'll actually be able to see some things opening up. But I'll tell you what, today was absolutely concerning. I thought it was more Teddy Bridgewater than anything else. Teddy just did not seem accurate, even on Cortland Sutton's one catch that he had during the game. He had to completely adjust and jump and lay out in order to get the ball. I had no ability to run after the catch after just it wasn't even a deep pass. We're just talking about like what, a 10, 12-yard pass. So it was concerning to see Teddy Bridgewater that far off his game, I guess you can say, compared to how accurate he's been all season.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely. I got the stats here in front of me. So you won on the under of 28 passing attempts today. He was close. He went 18 for 25, 179 yards. So, and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, there's definitely a couple misses in there, but just highlighting on the Teddy Bridgewater factor for a minute. That's not a terrible completion percentage. That's
Oh
really
no.
not that bad. And one thing I'm in several different Broncos groups, different Broncos chats,
Yeah.
and throughout the entire game, all I hear is, "Oh God, this is so terrible because of Teddy Bridgewater. This is so terrible because of Teddy Bridgewater."
Yeah.
But at the same time, was it really that bad? I mean, just because it's the Lions, do we expect Teddy Bridgewater to be Kirk Cousins? Do we expect Teddy Bridgewater to be that next level up? And I mean, we know clearly that he's not. We know that he is a plug and play mediocre starter who does enough to get the job done. That's what he is. But the entire time, even though we're up, we're up by 14 points at this point, and all I'm hearing is Teddy Bridgewater's complete garbage. Like, it gets
Yeah.
frustrating. It
Yeah.
gets frustrating, definitely. I mean, and I'm not a huge Teddy Bridgewater supporter, you know that. I mean,
Yep.
he's the quarterback, so we support him. But I mean, we could see these numbers be a lot worse. We've seen them be a lot worse. I mean, we should be starting to be like, hey, this is what we got. The playoffs are within a grasp. With today's win, it's a half game out. That's it,
Yeah.
half
Yeah.
game. But it just is, with everything going on, it was just so remarkable in a bad way, I guess you could say. To see so much hatred towards one player. It just shows how much frustration it has been built up at the quarterback position. How
Exactly.
how much how much labeling this Teddy Bridgewater versus Drew Lock as an actual competition. Because all I see is I need Drew Lock. I need Drew Lock. What do we need Drew Lock for? We're up by 14 points. What
Yeah.
the heck
Yeah.
do we need to see Drew Lock for? We
Yeah.
are winning the game. Did Teddy throw an interception today? No. Did he turn
Nope.
the ball over? No. Did he take
Hmm.
a bad sack? Sure. But which quarterback doesn't? You've seen Tom Brady hold the ball for too long. It happens.
Yep.
But it just that was my that was my pet peeve today because I seen it all through social media. But he is what he is, and he's doing his. He's not. I mean, we wish it was a better product, but hey, we're up by 14 points. What the heck are we complaining about?
Yeah, we had a huge win today. Like you said, not only just from a playoff perspective and how close we're getting, but just even the points. It's been since we've seen Drew Lock down in Houston, that we've seen 38 points put up by the Denver Broncos. It's been since December 8th of 2019. So it's been a very long time since we've seen this many points put up. And I know that it wasn't all Teddy Bridgewater, but he had a decent game. Like you said, didn't make any huge mistakes, didn't put us in any bad positions. Um, like you said, he's not going to win, QB MVP anytime soon. But he went out there, he gets the job done, and there's no reason to have another quarterback go out there and replace him, especially when you're putting up a 38-10 win. The hate has to stop. And I think, like you said, it's years and years of frustration. It's the fact that we hold the record for most quarterbacks since we basically won the Super Bowl. We've had more starting quarterbacks than any other team. And I think it builds up over time. It's really easy to look at that position and not want to support it because it's not perfection.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I was just scratching my head on it, and I mean, those incompletions, you know, there were some ugly throws. There was that play where he was trying to hit Jerry Judy, and he was moving around the pocket, and he completely threw like it looked like he punted the ball on that third down. It was ugly, but I mean,
Yeah,
at the same time, like it happens. This is the best Broncos team we've had since Peyton Manning's left, and
yeah,
all we hear is like so much negativity. I mean, I get on it. I jump on the negativity train and sometimes as well. But like we are this close to being in the playoffs, and there was you posed a question actually to the groups. Would you prefer the top 10 pick, or would a first round exit in the playoffs?
yeah,
And the competitor in me it's like a no brainer. Well, would the top 10 pick be nice? Yes,
yeah,
but we're talking playoffs. We haven't talked playoff football in Denver in such a long time. This is a season where you do it. Forget the Vic Fangio factor. Forget the Teddy Bridgewater factor. You know, there's so many things that these guys are playing for right now. There's guys that are playing for their jobs. I mean, Justin Simmons is fighting to be this new leader. And look at it, 5 interceptions on the season. You
yeah.
got guys like Patrick Surtain who you come out and you just say, "Oh, we're going to tank and we're going to have that kind of mentality." You're setting
Hmm.
up the youth of this team to say it's all right to lose. Who cares if we got to go play KC in the first round of the playoffs and we get our behinds handed to us, but we were there. That's what matters is we were there. We said that we're done with the stagnant culture. We're done with being average. We're done with saying it's okay to just take a play off. It's
Yeah,
time to get rid of that mentality. It's time to invest in this team, invest in the playoffs, and see, do I have high hopes? I don't know if we'll get there. Probably not. but it's time to stop playing the games of let's tank for Trevor or tank for this guy. There's no need for it. Teddy Bridgewater's your quarterback. Let's focus on this season.
Yeah, I like that, man. I think we all just need to, take that same mentality as the team needs to take and just focus on it. Put all our good thoughts and our will and our strength behind going after each win. Like you said, coming up next is the Bengals, and the Bengals, they were in a tight one as we were about ready to get on. So I know they were in overtime with the 49ers as we were about ready to jump on here. I'm not sure the outcome, but they've been an up and down team.
We got good news for Broncos. The
What do we
Bengals
got, bud?
lost.
The Bengals
lost
Oh.
26-23. 49er. I mean, that hurts you in the pick 'em a little bit, but hey, that's all right.
That's all right, man. That's all right. I always throw my fantasy out the window if my Broncos are getting anywhere closer to victories or playoffs or whatever have you. I could care less. So absolutely fantastic. I'm glad the Bengals lost. That helps us out a ton. But again, that's our next team. That's the team that we have to go after next. If we get that win, this will be the winningest Vic Fangio Broncos football team in its entire tenure. So he'll be at 8 wins. He's never gotten to 8 wins. It's right around the corner. Like you said, Kareem Jackson is out there preaching. Each game is a playoff game. We're 1-0 in the playoffs with 4 to go, and I'm excited for it, man.
Oh yeah, currently right now we didn't really gain much ground with the win or the Bengals loss. We're still sitting at the 10 spot because the Browns. Unfortunately, we heard what happened. It sounds like there may be a significant injury with Lamar Jackson. Hopefully he's okay. They were able to capitalize on a Jackson-less Ravens and get the win today, barely squeaking it out from having a pretty dominant lead for a while. I think it ended up being about a 2-point victory, but with them winning, even in the Bengals losing, we're still sitting out. Colts move up because they're on the bye week, and they have, even though we have the same record, they're a little bit better in conference. But we talked about it. It's a half game out. You beat the Bengals, you're in. The Chargers slip up, you're in.
Yeah,
you're right there. It's that easy.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Chargers, I don't know if you've seen this. Austin Eckler was also significantly injured today.
No,
he was
I
not
did
able
not.
to bear. Yeah, he was not able to bear weight on his leg. That's a very unfortunate injury. We don't know the significance of it yet, but he was having a phenomenal season. And if it's over, that's a heartbreaker. As a Colorado guy, So
yeah, I was gonna say even all the way up here from Montana, I know that you guys love yourself some Austin Eckler, Colorado kids. So
yeah, even though he's on the Chargers, boo. But hey,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
all right.
You got to pull for a few guys every now and then. You got to pull for Cordell Stewart when he's on the on the Pittsburgh Steelers, just because he's Cordell Stewart, right?
Right. Going back to the game a little bit, we talked offensively. Let's go back and focus in on the defense. And in the first half, after the momentum tide started to shift, and the unknown running back that came off the practice squad, I'm drawing a blank on his name now. It'll come to me in a second.
Well, good, because it's probably not going to come to me at the moment.
Hold on, I got you. Craig Reynolds. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Craig Reynolds. Yeah, after he was starting to slice and dice for the longest run of the Broncos allowed all season, I was like, oh gosh, Cleveland flashbacks. Here we go. But thankfully, they were able to tighten ship and get things under control.
That one drive seemed like it was a complete anomaly. It was amazing to just see them. They were marching all over us. And boy, it looked like it was going to be a long day and a back and forth battle. Like you said, it was pins and needles to start off for a little bit, even though we put up some points pretty early, and it felt like we were going to be dominant. All of a sudden, here they come right back and start scoring some points, and it was nerve-wracking, especially like you said, just replays of Lake Erie.
Yeah, it was getting rough, and then I was talking to my wife at halftime. I was like, I don't know, babe. This is I'm getting unsettled. Offense is stalled. Defense is kind of falling apart a little bit. They're playing off coverage. They're blitzing a little bit too much. This no-name guy is going to come in and embarrass us again. I started to get a little negative. And first drive after the half, Shelby Harris comes in, makes a play, says, "We're not doing this today." Momentum goes back in favor of the Broncos. And I mean, in a sense, that's all she wrote. I mean,
Yeah.
it was done from there. But I mean, you mentioned a name earlier, Draymond Jones. We mentioned Shelby Harris. We might as well mention Dave's guy, Justin Simmons. Um, he made that wonderful interception. And like I said, you just felt the electricity today. You felt that they were playing for a purpose. Uh, at times, it feels like we haven't felt that from this team.
Yeah.
So it was just it was a great game defensively. I mean, outside of those three, who stood out for you today?
Oh boy. Well, unfortunately, for probably the wrong reasons, my MVP was supposed to be Kenny Young, and he probably had one of his worst games. He was one of the guys that was supposed to be making those tackles as unknown rookies or practice squad guys are running up the middle. Um, Even had some coverage issues as well as he got singled out a couple of times. So unfortunately, the guy who stood out for me, especially as I named him my MVP on the defense, was Young. So
Hey, well, I'm confident Kenny will bounce back.
he will.
Yeah, but that was a perfect segue into where I wanted this to go. In a name that we've been talking about, kind of behind the scenes a little bit, and really stepping into a role. I highlighted my concern with him when we drafted him. I was like, oh goodness, I don't know if this guy's gonna work. But Baron Browning came in again this week, stayed true to his coverage. He had a deflection. I mean, the kid just continues to impress. And as much as I wanted to hate on George Payton's draft class because it wasn't the quarterback, I'm finding myself to be eating quite a bit of crow because Patrick Surtain played a great game. Baron Browning's playing a great game. Quinn Miners, once again, played a fantastic game. I'm having a hard time picking holes in this guy's draft class, but that's a good problem to have.
Yeah,
It's been one
absolutely.
we have not had very often from since 2011 to now. I mean, if we go back through our draft track record, it's not so pretty. But seems like this guy's really found some studs, and it's got me excited to see where this can go moving forward. But Baron Browning was one of my stars today for sure.
100% agree, man. I was, I was going to pick out on Dave's guy too. I've been a Justin Simmons guy. It kind of seems like week in and week out. This week I switch it up and and go to Young, and he ends up taking him. Justin Simmons just played a phenomenal game. Like you said, he is becoming that leader. It was just fantastic to see him the way he was out there playing and the passion he was playing with, and it really seemed like it rallied those guys when that interception happened. I'm sitting there as I have my wife and daughter on the on the couch with me, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, take a look at that! That guy looks like a wide receiver." That was just an amazing heads up play. Read it fantastic. Great breakdown by Mark Sanchez on that play as they drew it back up. Just to watch that guy's head snap around a little bit too early, made a break on the ball, and just laid out and made a beautiful catch. And he was my stud of the game, man. He just looked fantastic out there. It's tough not to. I mean, Draymond Jones played good. I mean, everyone was out there playing some fantastic ball.
Yeah, definitely. Draymond Jones I mean, that was the guy I highlighted that we kind of briefly touched on earlier. We just really needed to see something from him. But, we said we weren't going to stick to all positives. We got to talk a couple negatives.
Okay.
I think we owe the fan base the unbiased opinion, I guess. We'll start with Vic Fangio. And, we talked a little bit about how the defense kind of started to crumble a little bit. Thankfully, the execution came back, so we won't fault him too much on that. But we decided he decided to fall into old tricks again and throw the little red flag
Yeah.
again. Like he just said this week, he's like, I have people upstairs tell me if this is a good challenge or not. Well, either Vic, you need to come clean and say this is just you, or you need to fire whoever the heck is in the box because they can't see what the heck is going on. You got to make a decision. And
Yeah.
if it is, you get some better glasses, man. I don't know, because 1 for 7 on challenges in one season. I mean, I don't even know if I can't even tell you the last time I seen a head coach get to 7 challenges in a season.
Yeah. It has been a while. There was I forget when they first came out with challenges. There was one coach that was just absolutely horrific, and I forget who it was. But yeah, 100%. For me, I think you're really at that point, and I was trying to look at it from his perspective. I mean, it is a terrible call because it's just all based on hope, But if we could have gotten the ball at that point, that would have been we would have sealed the game up. I mean, we might have been looking at backups coming in a lot sooner than what we saw in this game, which was kind of nice to see. It's been a long time since I've seen backups coming in because we're winning. But that being said, that's the only reasoning I can give for Vic Fangio throwing that red flag. It was bad. Once again.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, the other, I guess we could say, we briefly touched on the other negative a little bit with Teddy Bridgewater, but like we said, it's what we got. We got to just roll with it. Um, Pat Shermer, um, moving forward, we talked about this is really playoffs or bust, playoff game every single game. Denver can probably only afford to lose one of these games, two maybe, and that's on a whim, a hope, and a prayer that you can squeak into the playoffs. Moving forward, has Pat Shermer finally understood that Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams will be the key to success? Or are you still fearful there's a chance he's going to go back to these 3 wide sets, 5 wide sets? Just kind of, where's your intuition leaning you right now? You said you guys had similar intuition, so let's hear it, Keith. Where do you think he's going?
Boy, it is tough to really guess what he's doing. My hope is that, like I said, over the last 2 weeks, we've seen a ton of running game and a ton of success in the running game, and that we're going to go ahead and continue that. But at the same time, I see things like again, Kansas City Chiefs is a great example. Even Cincinnati and their high flying attack. And I get a little bit worried that he gets spooked and thinks we need to be in this game through the passing attack right off the bat. My hope is that we go to the running game and we ride and die on it for the next 4 games and just see exactly where we come out after that. But boy, I don't know if I'm in tune with Pat Shermer on that one or not.
Absolutely not. That's fair. And then I kind of got one more hypothetical question around the last negative. We talked about the incompletions of Teddy Bridgewater. We talked about the frustration of the fans. If you're one of these, let's put you in the shoes of a disgruntled Broncos fan with this quarter. You're the one feeling the frustration and nitpicking every single thing you can find. What does Teddy Bridgewater got to do over the course of these next few games to win you over and be like, you know what? Hey, this kid's giving it his best shot.
For me, I think it would be quick decisions. He tends to hold the ball too long, and he needs to learn how to get rid of the ball rather than taking bad sacks. And maybe passing to receivers past the sticks. If I see those 3 things from Teddy Bridgewater, I'm probably feeling a lot happier about where he's at as a quarterback. What would you want to see out of Teddy Bridgewater in the next 4?
The one thing that I'm becoming a little frustrated with is just the pocket presence is kind of, we talked about it at the beginning of the season when he was first got named the job. We've seen him be like super cool, super fluid. And then, injuries started happening, other things happened, and it's kind of been like a plummet down, and it's kind of done like these little ups and downs in the last few weeks. I just want to see him get back to feeling comfortable. But at the same time, though, when you've got your tibia beat up, you've got your ankle beat up, you've gotten a concussion, I mean, it's kind of hard to fault him for not being comfortable in the pocket anymore. And we don't know what the extent of that, he wasn't listed on the injury report, but how is that tibia really feeling? I mean, that could also lead to some of these inaccuracies we've seen. I mean, not to make excuses for him, but I mean, we really don't know where his health is at. But that was one thing I need to just see again. I just want him to see him feel comfortable, because when he's comfortable, the ball gets out better. He puts more air under it, and we see bigger plays happen.
Yeah. I think his confidence and his comfortability is went almost consistently down from the very beginning of the season. When I first saw him at the very beginning of the year, he was that leader. He was that vocal guy. He was that guy going around to everybody on the team. And it seems like that's kind of diminished a little bit, as well as, like you said, his confidence on the field at the exact same time. And to get all that back, to get that leadership quality back, to get that confidence back, would be huge for the Broncos as they go down this 4-game stretch. Obviously,
Yeah, I know absolutely. I think that is one of the key components to really seeing if this team can squeak in into the wild card. After seeing what Kansas City did to the Raiders today, I'm not so much sure the division is still on the table, as that was a
that was just shellacking, man.
that was taking Old Yeller out to the woodshed almost bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was rough, but
I'll be honest. I watched it up till about halftime, and then I'm like, okay, I got a little bit of time now because obviously this is not going to be a football game. Football game, I can go do some other things, you know. So so I took care of a few things, did some honeydews around the house in the second half, and wasn't glued to the set because boy, it didn't look like there was any reason, not unless it was going to be a Heidi game comeback.
Yeah, speaking of this game really quick, there was a kind of a funny thing that had happened. I guess before the game, the Raiders were all like around like the midfield talking all this trash. Well, at the end of the game, the KC players went to Twitter to just start ripping these dudes to shreds. Like
Oh my
you'll
god.
have to hop on there and check them out. But there's like memes. Oh, it's hilarious. And these are, their fellow, it's the Chiefs, the division rival, actual players who are sending out all these memes. It's not just the fan base ripping them to shreds. So, after
Well,
this, hop on Twitter.
so be it. I mean, from what I saw, it was quite the dance that they were having at the 50-yard line. Before the game, kind of trashing up the center logo, almost like a reminiscent of some what was it, Des Bryant back in the day, wasn't it? That
Oh,
went ahead and
there's been so many diva wide receivers. You could pick a name off the list. I believe Dez
yeah,
is one. You could go
yeah.
back to T.O. and the
Oh,
49ers.
To, that's who I was thinking of. To, yep,
Yeah, you could
To.
go back to that. I mean, there's probably numerous ones we could throw under this that label.
Yeah, so I think the Twitter memes that they're receiving now after the shellacking, if they decide that's what they wanted to do before the game even started, bring it on. I love it. I'll have to check it out. Get some laughs in after this podcast, buddy.
Absolutely. And the final thing I want to we're get we typically in post games we don't really focus too much on other stuff aside from the game. I mean, it was really hard to find a way to stretch this game because it was kind of over pretty quickly. There was so much goods. I literally had to go finally, go through with the fine tooth comb to find the negatives.
Yep.
But I want to end today's show on a question of the future. There was an article that came out today about Teddy Bridgewater possibly coming back and what that would look like. The proposed contract would have been a $40 million contract for 2 years with $28 million guaranteed. Is that too much for Teddy Bridgewater from what you've seen this year? Yes, you can answer how you like.
Boy, but I'd have to if the coaching staff comes back, I'd say no, that's not too much. I think if this coaching staff comes back another year with Teddy Bridgewater, see where this progresses. I'm in love with that idea. Well, I shouldn't say I'm in love with that idea, but I can support that idea. But if we go out and we get a whole new coaching staff, honestly, I probably just want to reboot, and I wouldn't want to invest that much money into Teddy Bridgewater, and I wouldn't want to invest that much time into him. I don't. It's really tough for a quarterback who's came in, has a relatively short amount of time with the team to go from starter and then go back to backup quarterback. If we go out there and we decide to go the route that I would like to go, and hopefully pick up a rookie QB here in the next draft.
And my answer is going to be pretty close to yours. I think coaching staff definitely is going to play a factor on it. But the more I thought about it, $20 million a year. That's kind of what I kind of circled in on it, and I don't want that to be the situation. I think this team really is a quarterback away. I think we've seen that. We've seen how this defense has rallied. We see the offensive weapons. They're going to be here for a while. I really think it should be an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell Wilson. But if that doesn't happen, I'm not upset if Teddy Bridgewater comes back. $20 million isn't that bad. It's a bottom tier veteran quarterback salary.
Yeah.
It's really what it is. I mean, there's backups. Chase Daniels makes over $10 million a year. Nick Foles was making over $10 million a year at one point. Brock Osweiler at one point was $17 million a year. Like, with the anticipated inflation, is it really that out of or that extreme, I should say? And I'm not opposed to it, and I might catch some slack for that from Broncos country. But if you swing and miss, I could tell you right now, Kenny Pickett's going in the top 10. Matt Corral's going in the top 10. And there's no way in heck you could come out here and convince me that a Carson Strong is ready to start day one. It would feel like Drew Lock all over again, in my opinion. Rush development, kid who's not ready. There's some medical questions. It just seems like it's a situation to fail. So that's my scapegoat plan, guys. I'm all for it. I'm not against it. So hopefully Broncos country don't eat me alive for that, but we'll see. But
well, if it's anything like all those that chatter during halftime, you better watch out, buddy. All that chatter at halftime that you saw loving up on Teddy Bridgewater might be all going away. But best of luck to you, bud.
Absolutely, we'll see. I've ran from the lock colt is what we used to deem them, and what they deem me the lock flogger. I deem them the lock colt. It was a friendly relationship, we should say. We'll see if I make it out of this one unscathed. I doubt it, but we'll see.
Okay.
But with that said, do you have any parting shots from tonight's game?
No, just the last thing I would say is it was it was a fantastic game. A lot of energy. Everything that they were doing for DT from pregame to taking the 10-man delay game penalty to getting the ball to the 88. It was just fantastic to see. All the way up here in Montana, I could feel that energy coming through the screen on my television. I can only imagine what it felt like down there in Colorado. I can only imagine what it felt like in that stadium. But it was a beautiful thing to see, and come out with a win like this was fantastic. A great way to commemorate him.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. This one, my final shot will be DT. This one was for you. You inspired so many young athletes across the globe. Your impression, we talked about it earlier, the impression you made on the game could never be forgotten. And your players played this one for you, and I sure hope the heck I knew you were up there smiling down on them. And Broncos did right by DT today. They did right by DT. We all, we felt that energy. But that's how we'll wrap it up with tonight's show. We just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. We will be back on Wednesday, 12/15/21 at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Until then, please remember to follow, like, and subscribe. We're on all of our platforms. You can also chat with Dave, who's usually here, Keith, or myself through our Twitter accounts. Be sure to join our group on Facebook at Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We do a ton of posting and chatting about way more than just NFL out there. You can also listen to our mini podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And of course, you can join us live here and be part of the conversation. Also want to throw out a huge thank you to Willow Seasonings and Blends for putting a little spice in our life and allowing us to be able to bring you guys a great show. From all of us here at 4th and 99, a part of the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, thanks for watching.